Hello everyone and welcome back to Epic or Trash, and I'm greeted by a very interesting guest. He is a school student in my Discord server. He's a minor. His name is CJ.
And also call me Nuisance Max. I created a new channel, but I still keep my old username because I still keep it. Call me CJ in World of Gaming.
In the world of gaming, and today we are going over GamerGate because I've decided that the world of politics was going to be interesting, so color me a dumbass.
Alright,
you're a dumbass. You're great.
I love that soundbite.
No, we actually talked briefly about GamerGate. Like, did talk about it a handful of times, like privately.
Yeah, we've done like public streams on my Discord server. So if you're not in my Discord server, hit up my Patreon, $2 a month. But just remember, it's until August, because after that, the sale's gonna end. And then if you want to join my tremendous Discord server, you're gonna have to pay up the cough of the money. Yes, that's right. It's the most tremendous server you'll ever see.
Right.
I'm gonna get canceled for that. Anyhow.
All right.
So go ahead and take us through GamerGate.
All right. Today we're going to discuss folding ideas video of GamerGate. We're going to react to it. I'm actually quite familiar with GamerGate. I've been researching it since February, and it's been wild. So if you don't know who Folding Ideas is, he's pretty much a YouTuber who covers this stuff from the modern perspective, can I say, from a cultural perspective, about stuff like movies and other mediums. He's also responsible for destroying NFTs thanks to his lengthy video, and we're not going to bring NFTs again. They're dead.
Yeah, I wish.
Now, Dan Olsen, Folding Ideas, once made a video about GamerGate during the whole scandal, and it was originally published on blip.tv, October 21st, 2014. And this video, along with this, which I absolutely hate, it's disingenuous, and we're going to see why. So let's start.
Oh boy.
Are you able to see it, or
yeah, I can see it. I can see the video on my end, so if you want to go ahead and start the play button.
All right.
That purple bothers my eyes.
Base assumptions create a worldview that enables and justifies harassment and terrorism.
Look.
GamerGate's base assumptions create a worldview that enables and justifies harassment and terrorism.
Creates a worldview that enables and justifies harassment and terrorism.
I got a soundbite for that.
Dumbass. You're a dumbass.
Ah, thanks.
You're great.
Thanks. I was playing that. I wanted to play that, but I clicked something else.
Don't worry.
I don't even need to explain why it's just wrong. But I'll give it. Wait. I'll give a slight defense. By terrorism, it might mean terror attack, like trying to silence, because this is a common accusation among gamergaters. They say, oh, there's just misogynists who send death threats, other harmful threats, blah, 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 stuff like that. And even Wikipedia says it promotes terrorism. Oh, wait, it causes terrorism.
Oh, Jesus fucking
I don't even need
Christ. Where do I even begin with that? Where do I even begin with that?
I don't need to explain why I think it's wrong. I did research, but let's see why I think it's terroristic. I'm a terrorist, apparently, because I used to support GamerGate, which means I'm a terrorist.
Yeah, apparently I'm a terrorist too, just by association, I guess.
Yeah.
My family, who's served in the military, served police, you know, did all these wonderful things. My dad was a famous wrestler.
Too, apparently.
Yeah, I guess my dad was a terrorist just because he was an officer. Just, oh, God damn, what the fuck?
Great. All right, let's continue.
Go ahead.
This is what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be a long road because I want to run through the whole process from start to finish. And it gives us a great reason to talk about critical tools. This is actually a subject that I've wanted to bring up more often for a long time, pretty much since the show started, but I've never really gotten around to it. I mean, it's been there in bits and pieces, but let's really crack into one because this is a perfect time. Let's talk about base assumptions. Base assumptions are the things that you, I, everyone takes for granted about the world. They are the things that default to yes or no until proven otherwise. These are the things that we believe are just the way things are. In fact, even more than that, they're often the things that we don't even consciously believe because they're frequently things we're completely oblivious to. They're invisible, unquestioned, part of the background. Believing is active. You've encountered something or been taught something and thought about it, and yes, you think that's how things work. Base assumptions, however, are typically passive. They're just there as the rules that everything else is built on. They are one of the major things that form what we consider to be normal.
Pause.
All right, I know a bunch of you are thinking, well...
So, let me get this straight. So he's laying down what the definition of that word, or that phrase, I should say, means for
Base assumptions.
What purpose?
Now, we did watch the video. He was talking about GamerGate's base assumptions, like what are their motives, what are their responses, you know, how GamerGate works. According to him, he already called it terrorist. He already called it a terroristic movement, so I'm just, like, he's already on the off foot with me because he's already basically just called a whole bunch of people terrorists for no real particular reason, because he didn't even lay out, hey, this is why I think they're terrorists. Now he's offering like he's explaining everything before eventually explaining how GamerGate works, like their supposed base assumptions, you know, how they work, their text. I'll play the...
Well, what is normal? Maybe the crazy people are normal and the normal people are the crazy ones. And that's good. I've wondered the same thing myself in the past. It's wrong for a variety of ontological reasons, but it's a good starting point because it's being critical about assumptions that drive daily life, recognizing that many things in society are more or less arbitrary constructs. They may exist for a reason, but those reasons aren't natural law. Take traffic lights, for example. Why are they red, yellow, and green? Why not blue, orange, and hyperviolet? Turns out the answer is pretty typical. Back in the 1800s, the railway industry started using those colors, and they just kind of stuck. Red already has a history as a warning signal. Green was chosen because it looks different from red, and yellow because it looks different from the other two. Well, as long as you aren't colorblind, that is.
What do you think?
The fuck? No, that's not particularly why. Green was chosen because it often gives a signal of something's okay to touch or do. Like, for example, if you see a tree with green leaves, you think it's healthy. It's healthy to touch. You see, like, the green past right here, you think it looks cool. Yes, red does have a warning sign, clearly, but yellow was picked as a cautionary sign because often labels were using yellow color, because yellow color stands out as a very bright color in dark rooms. What shines bright? White, yellow, green. Red can, depending on the shade, and blue is the same way. I'm like, this is... You literally are taught this in the manual that you get when you're studying to get your license. I know, because it talked a lot about why the colors were picked and what they mean. If you see red, that means stop. If you see yellow, that means prepare to yield or stop. And green means pass forward or go past. It's not just because they picked arbitrary colors, it's because they had psychological signs already assigned to them way before that. It's just the railroads picked it because those were not only easy to paint across multiple signs, because it was often on signs, there weren't electric ones at the time, but it was also because those colors are easy to spot with the eyes for the majority of those who drive. As a fact, he completely left out. Completely.
Because this guy apparently relies too much on science and factual things. Like, it doesn't rely on
psychology, which is one of the greatest sciences of mankind. Which
he relies more so on science.
Which we've seen most of this video, so this is not a complete live reaction, but God, this is probably only going to get worse. Let's continue.
Right there, we've hit a base assumption. The chosen colors assume you aren't colorblind. So there are reasons underpinning the choice of traffic light colors. There is a logic there.
I forgot to pause. Pause right there real quick also. That shade of color of green is good for even those who are colorblind. That's why they picked that particular shade of green. I forget what the shade of green it is, but they picked that particular one, and also picked that particular red because those who are even colorblind are capable of seeing that. When people don't understand, when they're talking about colorblind, what they're saying is that there are certain shades of green, usually darker, and darker reds that are not easily spottable as brighter reds and greens are. That's what colorblind means, is that you have a harder time differentiating between the two. So anyone who's colorblind can still drive because their eyesight would be good enough still, or they can even wear color correcting glasses to drive. That is very common. As a matter of fact, one of my siblings has one of those because he has to have a particular set of glasses to do anything. Otherwise, he'll become blind as a bat. So, what the fuck was the study there? And then here's my biggest question of all: what the fuck does that have to do with GamerGate?
He tried to give an example of how base assumptions work, so that we'll probably understand GamerGate more. So let's see how base assumptions work later on in GamerGate.
I can't wait.
Traffic light color isn't dictated by the force of gravity or the speed of light or some other immutable fact. It is a decision that someone made over a century ago that stuck because traffic rules need to be more or less standardized so that drivers know what to expect of others and what others expect of them.
Gravity has nothing to do with it. The relativity of gravity has nothing to fucking do with traffic lights or anything like that. Although they are implementing newer systems now that incorporate that logic, traffic lights in general are usually based on timers or counting mechanisms. Like, it counts how many cars it allows through before it shuts that particular side of the road off and then opens up the other side. Or it'll count down from a certain amount of seconds and then it will cut that light from green to yellow to red. There is newer ones being implemented in Europe where it's based also on the speed of the driver. For example, if there's a driver, say there's a road going 45 miles an hour, and there's a driver that goes 45, well, a little bit under, like 43, the light will continue to stay green even though it's went over a certain amount of time to allow that driver to safely roll through. But if there's a driver saying going 50 miles an hour, it's going to switch to red sooner, so that way that person will have more time to hit their brakes and slow down and make a complete stop. Designed to also reward good drivers. But again, GamerGate, what does that have to do with it? I want to hear about, can you explain to me how terrorism has anything to do with GamerGate? That's what I would like.
We'll explain later on, but yeah.
You're seeing my frustration already with
how
this.
Often they ram into one.
What?
I said, you're seeing my frustration with this.
Yeah.
Another.
Let's continue.
You'll see my frustration. You'll see my frustration with another video, which I saw and I bit my pillow because I couldn't believe what I just heard.
Oh, when we get to that, because it's going to be a 2-part series, so when we get to that one, boy, let's continue.
So that's a tiny example that has nothing to do with narrative, but it's a good demonstration of how something becomes just the way things are. Let's apply the same to narrative. First things first, we need to talk vocabulary. Kitchen vocabulary. Today's kitchen vocabulary word is text. Now, in colloquial use, text refers to the printed word, but here we're going to be using it to refer to any cultural work taken as a whole. So a book, the whole book, is a text, as is a video game or a movie or a song or an album or a TV show or a video on the internet. The text of a book includes the, text and any pictures that happen to be included, while the text of a movie includes the dialogue, cinematography, color palette, motion, editing, pacing, and really any other form of language that the movie...
Is the pacing really a text?
Cinematography, color palette,
camera,
motion,
real quick, pause
editing,
it.
pacing.
God damn it. Okay. Music is not a text. It is a media, but it is not a text. A text refers to printed words. There's a particular reason why it means that. Because when we're talking about text, we're talking about text from a Bible or text from a book. For example, if I quote John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, for whoever should believe in him will not perish but have everlasting life," I am quoting scripture. I'm quoting a text. Music is not a text. Yes, it requires lyrics, but music is not a text. It's a media. It's media. There's a difference. He shouldn't have used the word text to describe this. He should have used media. That would have made more sense, because then you have a broader reaching aspect. When videos are not text, because videos require that there's both audio and video. Visual aids with the audio being recorded. That's not a text. There's transcripts, but that's not a text. So he's incorrectly using that phrase. Incorrectly using that phrase.
Work taken as a whole. The printed word. A movie includes the dialogues that the movie uses to convey palette, motion, editing, pacing, and really any other form of language that the movie uses to convey meaning. The text of a video game includes all of that, plus the gameplay itself and the Ludo narrative created by the same. Because the principles and theories that we're going to be talking about apply more or less uniformly to all of these different media, we're going to be using the word text to refer to all of them at the same time. In order to evaluate the base assumptions of a text, it can be helpful to anthropomorphize the text. Think about it as though it were a person and figure out what its priorities and beliefs.
All you had to do was just use the word media. Just say, look, we're going to use the word media to refer to all of these, to a book and text, a song, or the album, or the cover of the album, video games, video, stuff like that. We're going to this because this word is pretty understandable, and when people's, it's like, yes, we could use... But that's not correct, because we're not quoting books here. We're not quoting written scriptures or transcripts. We are quoting videos and movies and video games. We are quoting what people have said using media platforms. I would have been like, okay, yes, I can understand why you might want to use the word text, but media makes more sense. But it doesn't make sense in this logic, because you're going to be bringing in what people say, which is not necessarily what's in a video game, and not to mention, video games don't really have anything to do with it. It is just being used as a scapegoat.
Text-based video games, like only text-based video games, like the Oregon Trail.
Or fucking Dracula's Castle on the Commodore 64.
I do have a Commodore 64 Mini, and it's pretty nice, but it's irrelevant, so...
I feel like you're not 16. I feel like you're like 48, and you're just lying to me.
No, I'm 16. I have I asked my father to a Commodore 64 Mini, the smaller version, because I was curious about how the Commodore 64 games work.
My bullshit watch is going off, and it's saying that you're lying.
No, trust me, I'm 16. Trust me. No,
well, see, the last time someone said trust me, it led to GamerGate. I'm just saying. Bingo. Let's continue.
Trust me, I'm 16.
I did all
would
that
be if
setup
you could
just for that
talk to
joke.
it. This is useful as a device because it can help separate what exists in the text from assumptions about the motives of the people who made the text. That's valuable because while authorial intent can be insightful or interesting, in the end only audience remains, and it's entirely possible for well-meaning people to create problematic text through accident, inattention, or carelessness. I'm picking out an example that I touched on ever so briefly before in my longer rundown of Man of Steel. How does Man of Steel feel about the military?
Yes, I like this. I like this idea that every movie must have like some meaning. I mean, I'm glad that there are mediums where it has some meaning, but you don't need to study just be study exclusively on the philosophy. I appreciate games like Celeste where it tackles depression, stuff like that. But at the same time, you don't necessarily need to focus on philosophy. Just enjoy the medium itself.
So I want you to play this clip out, and then I'm going to give my thoughts after the clip plays out, because audience members, you're going to see why I'm going to lose it on him.
Military authority in Man of Steel always goes unquestioned. When Zod launches a coup attempt, no one criticizes his right to authority. He is never stripped of rank, he is never accused of dereliction of the ethics and morals of his position, and he is never challenged for his claim to leadership.
Pause. Now, here we go. He literally played on a whole fucking clip where he shot the queen of the fucking planet, and he's threatening to kill everybody else on the fucking council. So then Superman's father steps up to him, which is in the fucking comic books, but he never fucking read that, did he? Because he's a fucking retard and never paid any. No, hold up. I'm gonna finish my rant here before you go, because this fucking retard never bothered to read a goddamn comic book a day in his fucking life. Because if he had bothered to fucking read a comic book, he would have known that Zod forcefully took over by killing the council, killing Superman's father, and then trying to kill Superman himself. And that's why he went hunting after him, because he wanted to remove the entire bloodline, because they challenged his authority. And he was like, fuck. And Superman's father was like, fuck you, I'm not letting you take over my force. You're gonna do it the right way. You're a crazy man that does not deserve power. And he kills his father. Literally in the movie, he literally cut out the audio where they were telling him, hey, you shouldn't be here. Hey, why the fuck are you here? And Superman's father really walks up to him and is like, I'm not letting you do this. And then he gets fucking stabbed. And that's why he went to because he was bleeding out, he was dying, and he was trying to protect his son. God bless America, you're stupid.
Now, the funny thing is, I still remember one criticism about this scene, which, by the way, I think I don't know if it's a good counter argument, but what Dan admits is the fact that the council was actually were pretty much incompetent. For I read the criticism that Zod actually did the right thing. It's weird that they portray him as a bad guy, because what the council did in this movie were actually a bunch of incompetent idiots, corrupt, if I remember correctly.
Somewhat were, because that was supposed to be it was supposed to be a more modern day version of it. So Zack Snyder decided to include a little bit of the US politics into it. However, it does not defeat my argument that he never fucking read the comic books, nor did he actually watch the movie. Because if you actually watched the movie, you would have understood that Superman's father right there had a lot of power, and he was trying to convince the council to do the other things, but the other members of the council didn't want to do it because they liked their way of living. They wanted to keep their way of living.
Also because they're incompetent.
And that is what it is there. But Zod's still the bad guy because he was crazy from the start. He was thirsting for power, and he was going to do anything it took to get it. That's why he's the bad guy. Because on top of that, he wanted to destroy humanity in order to rebuild Krypton. So that's why he was the bad guy.
Now, I find it amusing that you said he never watched the movie, because he stated that in a prior episode, episode 2 of season 4, if I remember correctly, he did cover Man of Steel again, Redux, he said.
Again, no fucking way you're gonna watch the movie, because I don't know what the fuck movie he watched, but it wasn't Man of Steel. I can tell you that much.
Something very, very important to remember before we go any further with this is that every text is political by nature. As creators and audience, we all exist in a political context.
Now, so he says that every text is political. Now, I'll show you this video. I highly recommend you to watch it. Can I show it?
Yeah, you can show it. Fucking Jesus.
Now, I highly suggest you to watch this video to basically describe you how I feel about people who say everything is political, even those who try to be apolitical end up being political anyways.
Oh, Jesus balls.
The absurdity.
It's a pretty decent it's a pretty good video about how millennial writing is flawed. You know, like Saints Row 2022. And this video practically describes how I feel of people who claim that every game is political. You know, you have to mention capitalism, you have to mention this and stuff like that, which is not always the case. And if I want to know a funny thing.
Oh boy.
This is my lengthy explanation. If I have to provide a shorter explanation, I will reply with, does that mean Mega Man 2 is political? And that game is just you just jump and shoot.
It's like implying that like the Mario movie is fucking political. Really? The Mario?
Yeah.
Really, Mario? Really?
I remember the political discussion. Either people call it woke or not, and people just saying, "Oh, the Mario movie owns the libs," but like, what's the relevance of the politics in this movie? It's literally a movie, a fucking video game. I'd say, video game movie. Why do people need to bring politics in Mario?
That fucking makes no logical sense. And then on top of that, this dumb motherfucker over here is like everything's political. No, the fuck is not. Not every goddamn song is political. Not every fucking movie is political. Some things are just meant to be entertainment for the fun of entertainment. This guy is unfucking educated, and you're telling me he went to college? Jesus Christ on a motorbike! No wonder why people making fun of American fucking education.
Now, thankfully, he didn't improve drastically with his videos, and now he makes pretty good videos, like the videos discrediting NFTs and economy. He has improved. I did watch a handful of his newer videos. Pretty good budget and very good. They're interesting. But let's continue.
Yeah, let's continue.
It is inescapable. Even an attempt at creating something apolitical is ultimately political because it is a priori a rejection of the political.
What? I see that. I see
Hold
that. I see that claim everywhere.
Just real quick. Real quick, can you look up apolitical just so us and the audience members can understand what that term actually means? Like, real quick, just pull it up on screen. Just real quick.
Not interested or involved in politics.
And what did this guy just say apolitical means?
And he said that everything that tries to be apolitical is ultimately political because it tries to reject, because it's a priori of a rejection of the political.
And
I see that argument every single fucking time, even r/gaming circle jerk. You heard of that subreddit?
Oh yes, and this is what I got to say to them.
Dumbass. You're a dumbass. You're great.
Grade A #1 dumbasses.
Yeah, this is a fallacy I usually don't understand. Like how does rejected politics political? Does that mean Mega Man 2, who had never had a political thought, is political because it doesn't have political themes?
I'm gonna bring up a song here real quick. The song is called Festival Girl. You can bring it up on screen right now. if you want. You can even play a little bit. I got permission from a friend of mine. Get to about the 40-second mark. Let it play through. Pause. What in that entire course was political? Tell me what was political about that.
Nothing.
It's literally a love song. It is a love song about a guy who fell in love with a singer on stage. I know because it's actually part of his real history of his girlfriend. He partially, well, now fiance, they're getting ready to get married soon. The guy's name is Henry, and he goes by the username, obviously, Ivy Mono. Phenomenal musician. If you've not checked his music out, check his music out. He is fucking fantastic, and he's a nice guy. Very nice guy. I talk to him from time to time. And the reason I bring up his song is because none of his fucking music is political. He doesn't talk about politics. You know why? Because not everyone wants to talk about politics. They can be apolitical and have nothing to do with political stuff whatsoever. You dumb motherfucker named Folding Ideas. Yeah, you're folding retard is what you are. Continue the video.
Man, he did publish these videos, which are good. But anyway, let's continue. This is I suggest you to watch the millennial writing video because it does debunk that flawed argument.
Yeah, I'll if you remember to send it to me, I'll drop it in the link below of this video. Let's continue.
Which has some decidedly political motives of its own, is at the very basic level an expensive consumer entertainment product created in a capitalist system. It cannot help but reflect that system, push and pull off of it, any more than a swimmer in a pool can avoid disturbing the water. That is a massive subject of its own. If you want to go deeper, then you should start by watching Slavoj Žižek's documentary, A Pervert's Guide to Ideology.
Why does this guy look like the pickup artist Roosh V?
Why does this guy look like a kind of creep that would run a fucking cult, a Nazi-like cult? Yeah. Just look at the fucking thumbnail. What really? Am I supposed ideology? Really? So you're gonna call Christianity ideology? Congratulations, you're a prick to everyone who's fucking religious for some reason, and you're gonna try to tie it into fucking Nazism and fucking Joseph Stalin, one of the worst fucking people to have ever walked the face of the fucking earth. Really?
I don't judge. Here's a tip: don't judge a book by its cover. And I'll watch it. I'll consider adding in my watch list this documentary to see what we'll talk about. But suggest you to watch it and tell me your thoughts. Okay.
I'll let you know, because usually most of these documentaries I find they say about one thing, and then when I watch, I'm like, what the fuck did I watch?
Decent reviews.
Let's see.
All right. Right. I'll just continue.
Oh, great. We got
It's
the fucking
on
Dark
Netflix.
Knight in there, too.
Back to Man of Steel. This uncritical opinion of military authority is also reflected in the human elements of the film and drifts from underlying assumption up to the surface. Superman explicitly condescends himself before the military. Yes, it's an ineffectual prostration, but that's basically the textbook definition of a symbolic act. It's a token effort, a small throwaway that represents something much larger. In that act, he legitimizes their authority. The underlying assumption at play is that the military is a legitimate locus of power, and that we, as the citizenry, should defer to that power. It doesn't say as such, but that is the world that the text builds. That is Man of Steel's normal. Understanding that normal, being able to pull it out and look.
That's the normal of real fucking life. I want you to go fucking fight the military and see how that goes. That ended well for most of everyone else, so why not fuck with it end well for you if you want to fight the military? The reason why Superman, I'm going full screen for this, no, for this next rant. The reason why Superman did that was to show an air of non-hostility. He understood that the people in the higher ups, the politicians, don't like him. They don't know him. They know he's a foreign threat. They don't know where. So they're like all hands on deck, get every weapon ready to destroy him at a moment's notice, because we don't know who he is. And he's got superhuman abilities that even our greatest technology doesn't have. So when he did this, it was because of the hologram of his father telling him that he should humble himself to the people, so that way they will understand that he is for them, not the other way around. Which is why Injustice worked so great. Why that version of Superman worked great as a villain, because he flips the script.
When you talk about how people hated him, how the government hated him, it kind of reminds me of The Dark Knight, when Batman was a hero Gotham City needed, but he still hated. Like, people don't like him.
Like, people liked him up until Harvey Dent died, and he intentionally picked that way because, as he told Gordon, it needed to happen. People needed to believe that Harvey was the hero, not Batman.
Because otherwise, the people will have lost hope.
Lost all faith and all hope. So, Batman taking on that role made a lot of sense.
Yeah. Actually, Harvey Dent's death, Two-Face, was actually the one that made me feel sad. Like,
this dude was fucking tragic. It's like, but like, what was political about that? There wasn't anything political about that, unless you want to go on the idea that some people take on roles that they shouldn't have to take on, but they do because it's necessary. Well, think about it. Like, logically in the movie, it made sense that Batman is the one who killed Harvey Dent, not the Joker. Now, Harvey Dent didn't turn into Two-Face. Batman fucked up, and he became he fucked up so bad that Harvey Dent got destroyed in the process. He failed to save the hero of the city. So let him be the monster instead, because it meant that the Joker doesn't win.
Man, the moment I saw the face half burned, I quickly realized who he was about to become.
Oh yeah, and it was beautiful, and the makeup and everything was done. The acting was fucking spot on. It was just all around chef's kiss, perfect movie in my opinion. It's just I don't think you could have done anything better with it.
Except for when he didn't realize the nurse was Joker, like it was blatant. He was.
That was probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie, because he's really wanting to whoop his ass, but he can't get up to whoop his ass because he's too weak.
Yeah. Anyway, let's continue, because he eventually goes to talk about GamerGate.
Yeah, finally we're gonna get into the meat of the fucking story here after 30 plus minutes of me ranting about this stupidity.
Yeah, now it's my time to talk about how logical was.
Yeah, now it's going to be your turn to rip into them. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Look at it is an invaluable skill in communications, opening up new and interesting meanings and messages, bridging gaps between cultures that may seem to be at odds, revealing conflicts that were previously invisible, and paving the way for empathy and understanding. Now we can talk about GamerGate. There are some things that we need to say about GamerGate first. This is not a new phenomenon. These ideas and beliefs did not spring up in August 2014 with GamerGate any more than Gigi's most odious ideologues or the women that they target.
All right, he's wrong about saying the GamerGate targets the women, but he's not wrong when he says that most of the GamerGate's complaints are nothing new. That's true. Most of the complaints date as far back as 2004. I should remind you that, Alex, for who don't know, GamerGate is a consumer revolt movement where where people protest the game against game journalists because they want to fix the ethics. They want, because most journalists were unethical. This is sparked when Aaron Gioni released the Zoe poster, which was supposed to expose Zoe Quinn, a game developer, a non-binary game developer now, but at the time they were a female. Aaron Gion in this blog revealed that he mainly discussed the many instances of infidelity, but there's one detail that a lot of people notice that when reading the blog. I have to clarify, Aaron never implied that Zoe had sex with this journalist, which I'm going to mention later on. He never implied that he had Zoe had sex in exchange of a favorable review. He instead focused more on the infidelity thing. This is something only that. Wait, let me correct myself. This is something only pro gamer gators and 4chan perceived. They eventually corrected to coverage. People would say coverage, but 4chan were dumb enough to say review. And it is a common mistake. Even pro gamer gators who don't know a lot of the history know, because it's actually coverage. People read that Zoe had sex was in a relationship with this journalist, Nathan Grayson, in exchange for favorable coverage. They knew each other since June 2012. It's proven by Twitter, by their knowledge on Twitter. And Nathan was actually a tester of Depression Quest. There were even articles where Nathan will usually promote Zoe's stuff and usually highlight them without disclosing their relationship. So that's pretty fucked up. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. It's fucking, and then because like what you told me about, and the other stuff you told me about with just demonstrated that this was fucking ridiculous, and then the narratives that's being spun around it is unbelievable to me, to say the least. And these people want to talk about how all these conservatives and them Republicans, they don't understand anything that's happening. They don't understand our pain.
They also say that the GamerGate was a prefigure to the alt-right. Like, what?
Like, to what alt-right? What are you talking about? Like, most of us who are Republicans because our family raised us on conservative values, because I don't know if anybody's fucking... Well, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about me. Me and a few other my friends.
All right.
Well, we're discussing mostly American here. We're not talking about you weird Italians.
No.
Taking shots. Anyhow.
No. I'm an average Italian. Please respect me.
You will get no respect. I'm going to get canceled for that one, too. If I ever get a real detractor, they're going to have so much fucking video footage to use against me. And there's this time he was an anti-nationalist.
All right.
I can't wait for them to go with the racist narrative, too. That will be even better. I'm going to just go, what the fuck?
The misconception that most anti-gamer gamers make, even a bunch of pro-gamer gamers make that don't know the full history, that they say, Zoe Quinn had sex in exchange of a review. There was no review, and at best it was coverage, which was proven. And their relationship dated as far back as June 2012. Nathan was even a tester for a game, so for Depression Quest, so...
It's like it made even less sense to me why she did it, but I guess
they're non-binary, but
I don't give a flying fuck. I have no respect for people like this.
I'll eventually cover what I found when we'll talk about the N-Note 5. Trust me, I'll have my pillow and buy it every time I hear. Also, am I allowed to use in the next N-Note 5 video? Am I allowed to use the dumbass sound every single time I hear?
Anytime you in here, you want to use that soundboard for them, you feel more than free to call every one of these fucking idiots a
Dumbass. You're a dumbass.
You're great. By the way, if you don't know how that whole course goes, I'll sing it to you real quick. You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. You're a grade A #1 bona fide first class. You're a dumbass. And you're a dumbass. And you'll be one all your dumbass life.
Great. No, let's continue. But yeah, the I forgot. The point was that this dude said that most of Gamergate's complaints were not new, which is true. They did as far back as 2004 with Drivergate, where Atari paid the PSM2 and the Xbox World, two unofficial magazines owned by Future, to essentially give a 9 out of 10, to give the game a 9 out of 10 before it even came out, to basically hide the game state, which was buggy and unfinished.
Why am I not surprised? Anyhow, let's continue.
Oh, and about the feminism thing, they did as far back as 2012 when websites like Kotaku, Rock Paper Shotgun decided to spread stuff like, "Oh, gamers are misogynist, straight white men are hateful bigots." You know, blah, blah, blah.
I wish 8-Bit Eric was in here too, because I feel like he would have a lot to say as well about it. Maybe I can get him in on the next one, but let's continue.
They were already here. In this regard, Gamergate's core assumptions are not unique, but are reflective of attitudes and opinions within society at large. Attitudes that view the status quo as the natural, inevitable result of apolitical forces. Davis Aridi, Jordan Owen, John Bain, Phil Mason, Dean Esme, Paul Elam, Jason Polera, the denizens of...
All right, two of them were already disproven as hacks who want to make the Sarkeesian effect, and it blew up for so hard. This one is a actual misogynist. This one is a fucking twat. This one, John Bain, rest in peace, Tall Biscuit, actually did it for a good cause. He worked. He had a good role. He was good. These guys, I don't know, but they're barely mentioned, so I guess they're not really relevant.
Apparently,
the denizens of 4chan.
That's what I love, the denizens of 4chan.
Now, the funny thing about people bringing up 4chan, want to know the funny thing?
What is it? Oh God!
Is that mid-September, 4chan effectively wiped out every discussion of Gamergate, along with other subreddits on Reddit, like r/gaming. You know, this is why there was this is why you see people talking on 8chan, like there was this mass exodus there.
Well, because everything else got wiped out, so they tried to document everything there. But there's also the Wayback Machine. You can just easily use the Wayback Machine to do that. So
exactly.
I don't know how the fuck that fixes anything. Whatever. Let's continue.
Now the funny thing is that people claim that 8chan is notorious for providing CP, which I don't know if that's true. I have to see it. However, people say that this is untrue, or at least they didn't know it, because 8chan itself has explicitly states that they ban any form of CP. That is literally the first rule that appears. Warning: this site bans CP.
I love that. I love that argument from those who are on the left that, oh, they use these websites to share child pornography. We must ban it.
Also, people bringing up that argument is actually out of convenience, because why don't they bring this up with 4chan? 4chan also had similar accusations levied against them, but they don't mention it. But when it's 8chan, they mention it. Why is that? Because it's convenient to them. It's a cheap way to discredit them.
It's also, the same thing with Reddit. I've heard the same argument about Reddit. It's like, why don't you make this argument? Yeah, you're starting yourself over there because you got no evidence to prove anything.
Also, I love the guilt by association by saying other channels talk about post CP. That means Gamergate must post CP. Like what? Also, you can't prove that there might be the same people, because every person like 4chan is anonymous. They won't even reveal the IP, because that's essentially doxing. So yeah, you can't confirm if it.
So see, like, that's my problem with this in general. When you're making accusations like that, I'm gonna state this real quick, and then we'll need to continue the video. We're almost out of time, but Rich went on Twitter today and shared a post that said, "If you make an accusation, that means you're guilty of it." To which I replied back, by that very logic, every person you've ever accused of being a pedophile, a creep, a sexual predator, which includes me, means that you're actually one as well. Congratulations, you should be locked up by your very dumbass logic.
Oh, great.
By the way, he's a leftist too, so that should tell you
Right.
everything you need to know about that. Also, he hacked, may or may not have hacked his former employer's computer. He may or may not have had, well, he claims he did, and he claims he doesn't, have pictures of his ex. They say wife, but he claims it's his fiance, her children in bikinis on a Dropbox that has porn in it.
Why does it remind me of Review Tech USA?
Because that's who I'm speaking of.
Oh no. Oh, sorry.
I got
Let's
one
continue.
soundbite I need to play real quick before we continue. Rich, you are a
Dumbass. You're a dumbass. You're great.
now. Let's continue.
4chan, they already had an axe to grind. GamerGate is nothing more than the new name for a long-standing resistance to the increased visibility of minority voices in society at large.
Strawman argument. I already said that about ethics in game journalism. However, why does it have to do with politics? Well, they're against the politicization of video games. Gamers notice that journalists complain about, there are no female characters, or they promote to pro-feminist topics on websites that have nothing to do with politics.
It's like Eric talked about it with the new Silent Hill game that's being remastered. It's like, why did you have to take a character that already looked good and make her look like trash? Why does she need to be overweight and struggling to
you mean
move?
the character from Silent Hill 2?
Yeah, like they made her overweight and struggling to move.
Yeah, I noticed
It's
that.
like, why? Why would
I
you
saw
do
that.
that? Why would you fuck up the
I saw-
character? Why are you fucking up the storyline? I can understand if you add an extra character that's kind of like her. Maybe it's her sister, and her sister gets killed, and it gives her
Nah.
more motivation. I would have been like, okay, yes, I understand that. That's pretty cool. I like that you're adding on to the game, kind of giving it a little more like sinister factor behind it, a little more like maybe I could save this person, even though in the game's logic you can't, but you still try to, because the human mind is save my fellow brethren. But anyhow, that's not my point. My point is that it made no fucking sense to do that, and you're just making the game look bad on purpose.
Just pro-feminist things of just,
Which- doesn't make you money. They've already proved. There's a reason why the term "go woke, go broke" is around, because it's legitimately happening. And one more example.
Saints Row 2022. I was a fan of Saints Row, but now the reboot is just trash. I actually tried it. They gave it for free, even for free, a year after it came out, and I couldn't believe how bad it was.
Like, I was watching Worst Critical play it, and I was like, the gameplay looked fine, but I hated the character.
graphics-
The graphics was okay because he was playing on a PC, and he had like a really nice. He has like a 4090 graphics card, so he's got like a really fucking nice graphics card, and an
But
AMD.
The
CPU.
characters they're writing, they spew out capitalism like it's a common thing. Like, I should care
joke-
about capitalism.
Like, the jokes made no sense. Like, I'm gonna head into the Donald AJ voice now. The jokes made no sense. They had no logic behind them. If I really wanted to hear people bitch about capitalism, I'll listen to Joe Biden, who sleeps more than that stupid person named Bernie Sanders, who was trying to cash in his money in a bank contract on him to get in, but Kamala Harris cock-blocked him faster than I will fix the economy and when voted for president.
Let's continue. Let's continue.
Yeah, I'm waiting on you.
If we look at GamerGate as a text, look at their message boards, their IRC channels, their blog posts, YouTube videos, claims, priorities, and target select.
Speaking of IRC channels, they've been debunked as bullshit. I'll show them when we'll watch the end of 5 video, but trust me, they're bullshit.
Oh yeah, we'll show them in part 2 because this is probably going to be a 3-part series. I'm looking at this point.
Yeah.
So let's
we
continue.
can drill down to the following base assumptions about the world. The GamerGate normal. 1. There are no real problems with inclusion or representation in gaming. 2. Any problems that do exist don't matter because that's just market economics appealing to the majority of players. 3. The status quo, as they perceive it through the lens of assumptions 1 and 2, is a natural state. Thus, any disruption is inherently artificial. This is the bedrock of the movement's ideology. The core here is that from their...
Now, I go to dispute... I'm only able to dispute these 2 things. The third one, I don't understand what it means. The first one is there are no real problems with inclusion or representation in gaming. Of course, you say that because that's not what we complain about it. We barely brought that up. Instead, the GamerGate just brought up how people promote feminism in video games. Like, just say, games have just promoted feminine games that just don't have enough female characters. Well, have you ever played Tomb Raider or Resident Evil 2
or Mario Brothers?
Yeah, Super Princess
Sonic.
Peach. There's this game called Super Princess Peach, created by Nintendo, created in 2007. It was an underrated Nintendo DS game where Princess Peach is the protagonist. In fact, we have to bring this up. I wanted to bring this up that Princess Peach lost her damsel in distress status that started with the Mario RPGs. She's no longer just a damsel in distress. She started to have a big roles of being a stronger woman.
Like, they originally intended for the first couple of games just because it was something to do. It was the typical prince and the princess storyline.
Plumber and the princess.
And Nintendo saw an opportunity to do more with it, so they added more and made her more unique. And as the movie, the Super Mario Bros. Movie showed, it really works because... Mario still had to save her, even though she had a battle plan and everything. It wasn't gonna go completely smoothly, but because he was there.
But didn't treat Mario like a dumbass.
Yes, it wasn't like victims from the Jason movie right here, Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. But I was gonna head into the Donald Trump voice for Part 2, where the second one. Any problems that don't exist don't matter because it's just marketing economics appealing to the majority of players. Clearly, this guy has never bothered to take a marketing class ever, because if he did, he would have known that this is a pretty typical thing, because this is how you make money. You create drama, and then people will go, oh my god, I gotta support them to fix the drama. Therefore, if you make boatloads of cash, but a lot of companies don't understand how to properly create drama. They just do stupid things, and then they wonder why they go out of business.
Now, you want to know the funny thing? This is just a twisted response, which gamers respond to women saying, this game sexualizes women, therefore it's sexist. Games like Senran Kagura, or just games like Dead or Alive. And our usual response is, this game isn't for you, play something else. There are thousands of games where you can enjoy without watching this. This game isn't for you, it's for a specific audience. Now, I do think that something it needs to be for a specific audience, but also does it in a way that doesn't alienate the others. Like for example, it doesn't have to be like Lawbreakers, where it just alienated the casual gamers in favor of hardcore. However, the hardcore audience was just too small, and because it alienated the casual gamers, that's one of the main reasons why it failed hard, because the marketing sucked. And I do wish that the marketing does focus on an audience without alienating the others. That might help. But the response was this game isn't for you, play something else. It's a simple response. Like, how's that sexist?
There's another example that people could use, and they choose not, because they don't think about it. Is Borderlands. Think about how characters like Lilith and a few other sirens are dressed kind of skimpy, yet no one seems to bat an eye at it. But apparently, if you play any of these other games, that means you're sexist. Clearly, no one has a brain anymore, and need my tremendous walls to close in on them, because maybe if my tremendous walls close on them, they might finally get a brain. I might have to drop my tremendous balls on them again like I did in the last episode.
The funny thing about this is that there's a reason why people prefer Japanese devs over Western devs. It's because Japan doesn't give a fuck about political correctness. It's just does whatever it wants. That's why we see a lot of animes taking huge risks and being actually original.
I'm not particularly shocked.
Point of view, the criticism
is gonna be my voice from now on.
Now, the third one I'm unable to debunk because I don't get what it means. So like,
so here's the thing. When he's talking about status quo, he's talking about how these first two are parroting the status quo, which makes no sense. Because what do you mean by status quo? The status quo is usually, if it's a good video game, we like it and we're gonna play it. If it's a bad video game, we're not gonna buy it and we don't like it. And I just don't understand why he has to be a dumbass. And my biggest thing is, why the hell is he using a hand puppet when he literally showed us his face? Why couldn't he do something else with his gimmick?
This was actually part of remember this video was released when folding ideas became part of that guy with the glasses / Channel Awesome. Remember?
I don't remember because I didn't grow up watching stupid stuff. I grew up watching TV and TV drama such as The Bachelor, great TV show.
No, at the time,
I want to kill myself just for saying that. Just for saying that.
Now, you remember shows like Nostalgia Critic where you need to have something original, like one trait. Like, for example, Dog Walker had the Nostalgia Critic, allowed the reviewer.
Oh yeah, like or James Ralph and the Angry Video Game Nerd, which originally was called the Angry Nintendo Nerd. Most people don't know that.
I know that. So every show needed to have certain trait. Then also decided to have like a Foley mascot for the show where he talks and
video games and the community are fundamentally unnecessary, that nothing is wrong with the way things are, and that any problems are the unavoidable result of natural processes. This is what drives the vitriol against Anita Sarkeesian, Zoe Quinn, Brianna Wu, and others. They are seen as...
Brianna Wu.
Oh my god, I can't believe these dumbasses are back. I really have to deal with them again. Especially Brianna, who's one of the dumbest women I've ever heard of in my entire life.
No, the funny thing.
She literally makes Hillary Clinton sound like the smartest woman on the face of this planet. Every time she talks, I can feel my brain cells wanting to commit suicide one by one. And whoever the hell that dumb bitch is in that yellow, she needs to go away too. She needs to go away too. And then Zoe over there.
Don't talk about them.
Zoe looks like a crackhead.
Now, the funny thing about Brianna Wu is that recently she became a right-wing grifter.
Who did?
Brianna.
Why in the hell is she messing with my community? My tremendous community that has the best people in the world. Why the hell is she there? She needs to buzz off and goes back to sucking on Joe Biden's non-existent manhood.
No,
she needs to go away. No one wants her here.
it's funny that he brings Brianna Wu when people like Hassan realize that she's a grifter. Like she wanted to capitalize everything on like clout. She was there mainly for attention. She repeatedly asked John Bain to review her game, and then later on proceeds to call him a misogynist.
That's not a shocker. Most people like that are grifters, about the dumbest people on the face of this planet.
Yeah.
They have no logic. They have no reason.
Yeah.
And if I'm voted for president, I will deport people like her from our great country because we don't need her in here.
Can I continue?
Go ahead. I'm going to get canceled.
Pretenders, if not invaders. Their criticism as wholly out of place, unnecessary, and artificial. This is what drives the vitriol against Anita Sarkeesian, Zoe Quinn, Brianna Wu, and others. They are seen as pretenders, if not
Who the
invaders.
hell is the others?
Their criticism as
Zoe Quinn and Anita Sarkeesian.
But apparently there was more than just the three. So who the hell is he referring to?
Now he refers to them as the main targets.
Which tells me apparently,
exclude Brianna Wu. Exclude Brianna Wu. At least
Zoe was probably the only one that was actually targeted. Everybody else here brought that on themselves.
Anita Sarkeesian. Because Zoe lied about getting harassed multiple times.
Of course she did.
Anita only made it exaggerate. Like it made the insults she received bigger than they actually are. Like she received a handful of harmful comments like rape and death threats, and she said, "Oh, most gamers hate me." It was overblown in Anita's case.
Well, I can understand her hurt and frustration, and I don't condone any of that kind of language. She is still a dumbass and is deserving of this special title.
Dumbass. You're a dumbass. You're great.
Now, as for this person, you know she faked harassment a lot. She even tried to say, "Is Brianna Wu a bad person?" while using her own account on Steam. Well, this person lied about harassment.
I wouldn't be shocked if she lied about her virginity.
Zoe is no longer a virgin. She had sex with 5 people.
Jesus Christ, on a motorbike, there's too many people.
And artificial. GamerGate actively seeks to have these voices silenced and expelled from the industry.
Yeah. Keep smoking, Dan. Keep smoking.
He is definitely coping and saving right now. I can definitely tell it.
The funny thing is that GamerGate is actually pretty open with women. They support the fine young capitalists and charity made to support women. And the main reason why he claims that they wanted to silence is just saying, get your ass up. GamerGate rather says to them, get your ass off of this place. You know nothing about video games. You don't deserve they don't deserve to be here because they're fucking grifters. That's how I call them.
Like, who wants grifters?
This perception that their natural state of normal is being invaded feeds and internally justifies the use of militaristic rhetoric, constant references to being at war, and organizing under names such as Operation Voxpic Rhetoric.
I remember I saw you with this. We already saw this, and
this is the part where I made him pause because I couldn't believe the tremendous stupidity that came out of his mouth, and I still don't understand it because how is it joke military rhetoric? What are you talking about? Are you describing that they're going to start a civil war over video games? Are you really that stupid?
I mean, people already believe that GamerGate is a prefigure to the alt-right, so I'm not surprised. But come on, you can't convince me these are not jokes. You can't convince me otherwise.
I'm not particularly shocked by stupid people like him, because stupid people like him clearly don't know what the hell they're talking about. That's not military rhetoric. This is just him being a dumbass.
Yeah.
references to being at war and organizing under names such as Operation Vox Populi and the hilariously named Operation Shills of Silicon Valley.
Now, these two operations, you must have taken them from trolls because in the GamerGate wiki, these operations were never mentioned. Like they're never even discussed. Not you could even find them on r/Kotaku Action. So you must have taken.
They were probably from. They must have been from other Reddits about other things, and it just happened to fit a narrative. Because Shills of Silicon Valley, to my knowledge, was attacking the big techs, who are all about suppressing free speech and making sure that people like me, Donald AJ, can talk about the real things on the internet.
Now, in the third part, about N05, are you? Is it okay if we invite other friends? It's okay if you invite the others in the N05 video because I'm going to destroy that video because it's so infuriating.
Oh, trust me, there will be plenty of more people in the next video because this is going to be a wild ride. I can already tell. This has been an hour and a half recording, and I'm struggling to deal with the stupidity that I am watching right now. This is worse than that debate I had with Joe Biden. I would rather 10 times have a debate with him again about how great I am at golf than to deal with this man's stupidity, because he is a dumbass.
You're a dumbass. You're great.
Let's continue.
Now, about the N05 video, you know this, and it's okay if we invite the others.
We will do that in the next part.
All right.
Let's finish
the use
this
of
video.
harassment and abuse tactics such as dogpiling, sea lioning, gish.
The tactics GamerGate supposedly use, dogpiling, kind of a half true, but yeah.
Almost everything dogpiles. He's a dumbass.
Sea lioning, pestering a target with unsolicited questions delivered with a false air of civility.
What false questions?
Wait. Questions you never asked for. Do you mean that asking why Zoe Quinn slept with Nathan Grace in exchange for coverage? Actually, well, let me correct it. So does that mean the question of why Nathan Grayson had covered Zoe Quinn without disclosing the relationship an unsolicited question? Like, isn't that a valid question?
He's not defining what is wrong here. He's just using words to attack those who don't believe in his cuckold theories. Because he's definitely a cuckold. He's got Destiny levels of cuckold in him. It is pretty obvious by this video.
Destiny's a cuckold?
Oh, if you didn't know that, congratulations, now you do. The short story behind that is that he allowed his wife to get banged right in front of him, and then he turned around and did a live stream. That is a true story.
Gish galloping, flooding the debate space with an overload of minor, often reworded issues. That's not what gish gallop means.
Please pull up the definition because this is going to be entertaining.
All right, logically fallacious. Overwhelming an interlocutor with as many arguments as possible, without regard for accuracy or strength of the arguments.
I don't know where the hell he got his version, probably from Wikipedia, which is not that smart.
Even the Wikipedia states this. There is a rhetorical technique in which a person in a debate attempts to overwhelm an opponent by abandoning formal debating principles, providing an excessive number of arguments with no regard for the accuracy or strength of those arguments. Now, the funny thing about this is that
is he really just trying to rewrite it?
It uses the gish gallop. He says that GamerGate uses the gish gallop. They only made 3 arguments. There's 3 C's of GamerGate: corruption, collusion, and censorship, all of which form one big argument: ethics in game journalism. You cannot add another argument about depoliticization of video games. But yeah, in short, there are just 2. How the fuck are they many arguments?
You can definitely tell this man is about as intelligent as a rock or Joe Biden when he gets on stage.
Yeah, gaslighting, presenting false information with the intent of making victims doubt their own memory, perception, and sanity. I didn't know he was speaking to himself. I didn't know that he was speaking to himself.
I think he's gaslighting everybody who was on the right side of this GamerGate, who wanted fair ethics in game journalism, because I guess it's too hard to actually provide the truth, to be fair and honest with elections, which was stolen from me, but it's not going to be stolen from me this time because I've got a tremendous plan that will work.
Let's continue.
Galloping and gaslighting are seen as acceptable means justified by the ends, wherein invaders are purged and the natural state of normal is restored. The use of terror tactics such as death threats, doxing, hacking, and the tacit threat of mobbing.
Oh no! Oh yeah, the typical, the typical things that GamerGate supposedly does, like death threats, doxing, rape threats, blah blah blah. The funny thing about this is that how is she called? Oh yeah, Christina Hoff Summers, who worked on Feminist Frequency. She's a Democrat and a feminist. She explained that most of the death threats don't include a hashtag, so you don't know where the death threats come from. And funny enough, I saw a list of the worst harassment Anita received, and only a fraction of them contained the hashtag Gamergate. Only a fraction of them.
Which is very irritating, and it demonstrates to the fact that a lot of these people love to manipulate their story and manipulate the facts because they can't speak the facts. They don't know what the truth is, even if it's slapped in with its tremendous hand. And I mean the most tremendous hand that you've ever seen.
While engaged in by the minority, creates an environment of fear that all members enjoy the privilege of, whether they engage in them or not. Doxing, hacking, and the tacit threat of mobbing, while engaged in by the minority, creates an environment of fear that all members enjoy the privilege of, whether they engage in them or not.
But that's a guilt by association fallacy.
Well, then by his very logic, that means he's not allowed to make any form of criticism against any kind of content, because that means that he is also benefiting from the death threats, the harassment, and the other stupidity that obviously didn't happen, except for like the few trolls that maybe did it because that's all they do with their lives, is they sit in their basement and they threaten people because they're not tough enough to walk outside and actually make those comments, because then they'd have to deal with Donald AJ deporting them back to the country where they belong.
Man, this is. Man, the funny thing is that you realize this is a guilt by association fallacy. Like, he says that most of Gamergate will profit, will enjoy the privilege because a minority, a small portion will do these things for them. Even though the people doing that are losers, or trolls or pro Gamergaters, that are losers that have nothing to do with their lives other than just being hateful against women.
It just demonstrates his lack of intelligence. So let's continue on with the video.
I'm going to restate that just because of how important it has been in the course of the last few months. The use of terror tactics, even if only by a minority, has created an environment of fear that all members enjoy the privilege of. When people are
I already explained that's a guilt by association fallacy, so let's continue.
Willing to engage because they are afraid that they'll be next, that their websites will be attacked, that their information will be stolen, that their employers will be harassed, that they'll have child pornography tweeted at them or sent to their email. All members benefit from that person's silence, even if they were not personally responsible for the harassment. One of the major ways that GamerGate enables harassment is through its...
Does he not bother to study cybercrime? Does he not understand what ransomware is or what info stealers are? Is he really that stupid that he doesn't know what the black market is on the internet and why the dark web is one of the most dangerous places? And does he also not understand that corporations don't actually protect your data the way that they claim they do? Because if he understood any of that, if he understood that the platform he made this video on, that he posted it on back in August of 2015, was not protecting his data from people who wanted to scrape it and sell it to third-party data brokers who would then sell it to potentially strange people who would then sell you phishing emails to steal your information and your bank account. If he's really supposed to make me believe that it was only GamerGate, quote-unquote GamerGate people that were doing it, then that tells me that he doesn't understand what he's talking about, and that he is tremendously stupid and he's fake news.
The funny thing about this is that the FBI pretty much absolved GamerGate out of the guilt. Like Anita contacted the FBI because she said, 1,000 death threats. The FBI only found 2 death threats. One of them was a troll. Saying that they have 9,000 bombs.
What troll could possibly have what? Was it the leader of North Korea?
Yeah.
Did Kim Jong-un hit her up and threatened her just because he was mad at video games being played in the West, even though he bans all of them from his people and only the ones in his castle are even remotely allowed to go near it?
Let's continue.
On a swarm mentality. GamerGate at every turn claims decentralization. Like being attacked by a swarm of bees, rarely does any one person inflict a particularly grievous wound, each individual being able to dispute their own involvement or cite the timidity of their contribution.
Pause it real quick. I want to do the B part. Real quick. No, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah!
Wait.
Do I continue?
Allows for perpetual deflection of real harms because it is difficult to summarize the cumulative impact of hundreds of messages implying you are a liar or obnoxiously asking for proof of well-proven facts. Additionally, the swarm is exploited by constantly claiming that anything particularly bad is not the work of a lying or a liar, or because it is the timidity of their contribution. This allows for perpetual deflection of real harms because it is difficult to summarize the cumulative impact of hundreds of messages implying you are a liar or obnoxiously asking for proof of well-proven fact.
Now, the funny thing about him showing the tweets that Anita received is that oh shoot, he showed. I paused on this. This is a satirical. This is
holy shit, Eric. One second. I am screenshotting this. Oh, Eric, you got some explaining to do.
Holy shit. No way. This is a harassment tweet according to Dan and Anita. The funny thing about these tweets is that I was able to see only a fraction of them contain the hashtag GamerGate. You can see, look, barely any of them have contained. Look, where's the hashtag? Look, did I see Alpha Megasin?
Yes, you did.
Did I see Alpha Megan?
No, just yeah.
Constitutionalist, Steel Greg Destroyer, Amy Mills, M. Skywalker, Ava Eric.
Additionally, the swarm is exploited.
Oh no! It was someone mentioning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can see that people they don't have the hashtag GamerGate.
You spelled attention-seeking horror
particularly
wrong.
bad
That's
is
funny.
not the work of a true GamerGater. This is, of course, a fallacy, as by definition, a swarm has the work of a. The swarm is exploited by constantly claiming that anything particularly bad is not the work of a true GamerGater. This is, of course, a fallacy, as by definition, a swarm has no one to dictate its overall form, thus no one to say what is or is not a true GamerGater. Either everything is in or everything is out.
What?
Then by his very logic, pause it real quick. Then by his very logic, he's in on Jeffrey Epstein's island, considering Jeffrey Epstein was a known Democrat voter, and considering this guy's very leftist, that means he was in on the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. What kind of stupidity are you possibly trying to preach? You are fake news.
All right, let's see the comments. Oh yeah, that turned off.
Oh, I wonder why. And then look at the dislike and like buttons.
No, this is the same thing with other videos. They have the comments turned on, but they're pretty positive. This one is the only one that has the comments turned off. This one, most of his older videos do have the likes and dislikes disabled. Reasons? I don't know.
Oh, I wonder why. Maybe because he's a dumbass.
Implying you are a liar or cite the timidity of their contribution. Each individual being able to dispute their own involvement or cite the timidity of their contribution. This allows for perpetual deflection of real harms because it is difficult to summarize the cumulative impact of hundreds of messages implying you are a liar or obnoxiously asking for proof of well-proven facts. Additionally, the swarm is exploited by constantly claiming that anything particularly bad is not the work of a true GamerGater. This is, of course, a fallacy, as by definition, a swarm has no one to dictate its overall form. Thus, no one to say what is or is not a true GamerGater. Either.
You want to know something that makes you understand that they're not from GamerGate is the lack of the hashtag. Also, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, the funny thing is that 99% of these tweets don't even have the hashtag GamerGate, and a handful of them are sock puppets. Remember when sock puppets used to have the egg image?
True GamerGater.
Yeah.
This is, of course, a fallacy, as by definition, a swarm has no one to dictate its overall form. Thus, no one to say what is or is not a true GamerGater. Either everything is in or everything is out. Even within the more benign aims of the movement, these underlying assumptions are present. The primary target of corruption and conspiracy accusations being women, queer folk, and their allies.
Something tells me this man's a cuckold.
The primary target of corruption and conspiracy accusations being women, queer folk, and their allies.
I never knew Nathan Grayson was secretly a transgender man.
I know, right? There's so many things I'm learning today, and my brain is not functioning from the fact that I've learned how stupid this man really is, and I don't understand why this video is still up. You should take it down. If you can't even deal with the comment section of people roasting you, then clearly you need to get off the internet.
Well, in fact, he disabled it because, Sargon of Akkad?
Sounds familiar.
Carl Benjamin, the one who basically caused the UK IP to fail.
Damn.
Brexit in 2019,
Yeah, right. We gotta stop doing that voice. It's killing me. Anyhow.
The funny thing is that he likely disabled the comments because Sargon of Akkad debunked the entire video. There's the archived video, and when this was originally published on blip.tv, the comments were nuking it. They were nuking this video.
We definitely should include that one in one of the parts. But anyhow, let's finish this video because I've got about 5 more minutes I can record, and then we're gonna have to wrap it up.
Next part.
Oh yeah.
In this regard is GamerGate's use of code wording. Zoe Quinn as a persistent target of harassment at the core of GamerGate.
Holy shit! I will provide proof of when we'll talk about the N05 video because oh boy, do I have proof. I'll show the proof later in the next video.
I will stake this my reputation on this. CJ has the proof of what actually happened, and is not Alha's floating ideas because he's a dumbass as painting.
There's one interesting detail about GamerGate and Dan Olsen, which I'll tell later, like in the next part. But when are we going to do the next part?
We'll probably do the next part sometime next week. Probably. That's usually how I
Alright.
film my videos, is like a week ahead of time.
All right. We'll, in the next part, we'll finish this video and then start the other.
Yeah, pretty much so.
And we will call the others, obviously.
Oh yeah, because this is probably gonna be like a 3 or 4 parter at this point. Now I'm probably looking at it. It went from 2 parts to 3 parts to 4 parts. Holy shit! So let's go ahead and at least try to get through the next 2 minutes of this video, and then we'll call it off.
All right.
GamerGate itself, being a hashtag coined by Adam Baldwin in reference to the Quinspiracy videos, was eventually given the codename Literally Who in an attempt at deflecting very true accusations that the movement largely revolved around demonizing and punishing her.
Very true. I love how he had to highlight very true, because otherwise, true, they might be false. But anyway, even with the very true, they're still false because you don't know where 90% of the death threats come from. And plus, Zoe had a history of lying about harassment, such as Wizard Chan. She claimed, they claimed that they got harassed by this incel forum, saying they received death threats and phone calls of heinous stuff. But Wizard Chen effectively disproved the entire thing as bullshit with 5 images.
Why am I not particularly
It
shocked?
also serves as a
Why am I
symbolic
not?
excommunication, an ex parte declaration of Zoe as a non-person, stripping her of name and identity.
I don't even need to explain. Let's continue.
However, as additional targets accrued, the codename was expanded to include dehumanize and expel others, barcoding each additional target as LW1, LW2, LW3, and so forth. Well, no
Funny thing is that he cherry-picked the supposed targets. All of them are women.
You gotta love the fucking hypocrisy happening in this video. There's so much hypocrisy that
Yeah, he cherry-picked these.
I just...
And the funny thing about Lady Alexander is that she's the one that started the whole Gamers Are Dead thing, where in the span of 4 days, if I remember correctly, 15 or 20 articles were published saying that gamers are dead, they're sexist, misogynist, and wasn't hard to realize that they were conspiring.
Oh my god, yeah. And I'm already thinking of what I'm going to do for the thumbnail of this video, because I've got a pretty good idea of who all I'm going to include in it.
No formal list was kept. There were at one point 7 people codenamed as Literally Who, all women.
The funny thing about Lady Alexander is that she turned out to be racist.
Which is... which one again, real quick?
Lady Alexander.
Of course she is. She's a tremendous dumbass. And is deserving of this title real quick.
At the time
Dumbass.
of publication.
You're a dumbass. You're great.
Exactly.
Having been reduced to LW1 through 3, Zoe Quinn, Anita Sarkeesian, and Brianna Wu. The perception, the base assumption is that these women, none of whom are technically journalists,
Does being a feminist critic count as a journalist?
That's my opinion of it. It was just opinion of that whole statement.
None of whom are technically journalists. Oh, why is that relevant?
represent the invasion into the cultural space, an invasion of gender, race, sexuality, and class issues, politics, and awareness. They couch this idea in conspiratorial tones, assembling lists of supposed collaborators.
Oh no! This is a image made on 4chan to which r/Kentucky Connection said, what? I mean, some of them are correct, like Lady Alexander, and blah blah blah. Jim
Adam
Sterling.
Sessler, yeah, he was on there as well.
But people were like surprised that people like Jeff Gersman from Giant Bomb were included. Like, what does he have to do? Ian Miles Cheong. You saw him on Twitter.
Wow. Whoa.
Man.
God.
And drawing out complex webs of accusations implying that these minorities are all outsiders looking to hijack games as a platform for political ends.
Funny how he says minorities, but let's see who are these minorities.
Real tones, assembling lists of
Let's see.
That was like all fucking white people to me.
Let's highlight their minorities so that we can make GamerGate look bad. The funny thing is,
They're
this was
fucking
made by
white.
4chan.
They're all white men and women.
The funny thing is that this was made by 4chan, but r/Kentucky actually called it flawed. Because most of the logic here is mainly applies to association, which r/Kentucky action said what.
Supposed collaborators and drawing out complex webs of accusations implying that these minorities are all outsiders looking to hijack games as a platform for political ends.
No.
This is, of course, all utter nonsense. Women, queer folk, trans folk, racial, ethnic, religious, and political minorities have been playing games all along. They have been here all along. They did not, as 4chan summarized with this image, suddenly start playing games in 2007.
All right. Let's see. Let's learn the.
Oh, God.
The use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices, particularly in the context of contemporary politics and other topical issues.
Oh,
Is it the
quoting?
satire?
They're even quoting fucking. They're even quoting Portal. Portal came up with the lie, with the quote, "The cake's a lie," because it was a joke about there was a portal, and you can actually find it in both games where if you break into a certain.
I played it Portal.
Like there's a certain part where you break in and it will have a sign that will show you ingredients, and the ingredients is actually how to make what's called, I forget the name of the lead character. The one, the bot that makes you do everything is like her chocolate cake,
Gladys.
which is a version. Yeah, Gladys. Gladys?
Yeah.
And Gladys is chocolate cake, which is a version of the devil's chocolate cake or the devil's food cake, whichever one you want to call it. It's literally all it is. It's actually a German chocolate cake. But
also, as we've already discussed, games are and were already political in nature because all culture is unavoidably political.
Mega Man 2 is political, and that game consists of jumping shooting. Saving the world is political.
I guess that game's about school shootings then. That's what it's about. By his logic, it must be about school shootings.
As an invasion.
We already talked about this, but yeah, let's continue.
Invasion is little more than the players who have been present all along finding a voice in the market to discuss politics that were already there. This fact, along with the core assumptions, creates an interesting contradiction in the companion hashtag #NotYourShield. Not Your Shield was conceived of as an effort at creating a controlled counter-narrative, something that's known as culture jamming.
Not Your Shield is a movement or created. While this is related to GamerGate, this isn't entirely connected. Basically, it was a response to two things. One, response to Zoe Quinn, Anita, and Brianna that journalists and other articles, blah blah blah, are not their shields. Also, in response to journalists, to them being tired that journalists are pretending to speak on their behalf, especially since some of the journalists like Lake Alexander, Ian Miles Cheong are racist.
Absolutely. But anyhow, we have come to our conclusive time, so we're going to pick this up in part 2.
And we'll cover the other video where I'll bite my pillow strong enough.
Then he'll probably rip right through it. So if you want to help CJ get a new pillow, how about you consider sending me a donation through Streamlabs or buy my new merch? I've opened up a new store.
And subscribe to my new channel, which I still have to work on the new vid, on my new trailer vid.
But this is all gonna be somewhat spoilers, but a representation of a new documentary he's working on about Gamergate.
Yeah.
So that's why we're jumping through different pieces so that we can kind of give you an idea of how this documentary is going to play out without spoiling the documentary. So with that, I'm going to say thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you subscribe. If CJ can remember to send me a link, I will post it below so you can subscribe to his new channel. And with that, I'm going to bid everyone a good night, a good morning, wherever you are. And until next time, this is AJ Timms, or the Dinner Tim, signing out. Have a good one, everyone.